Social music talk. What's happening and what's driving your life as far as technology?
Yeah, man. I just finished, moving house, moving from, I'm not really finished yet, but from one town to another. My wife and I are picking up all of our stuff. And one of the things that impresses me the most is look how much media we have. Old media, discs and tapes and just stuff from the past that nobody plays anymore, nobody uses anymore.
Right. Archives.
Exactly. In fact, I picked up, there's over on my bed over here, there's this box, and it's just one of those $50, $100 Victrola players that has a cassette deck in it. It has the record player in it, and it can transfer to USB. And so I figured that way, when I find those old tapes and discs and all that stuff, I can shove them in there, put them on a drive, and get them into my computer so that I can stop lugging all this media around. Because as you know, 99% of the time you want to watch a movie, you buy it on the phone and you project it to the television with a little wireless connection. You don't even have to have the HDMI wires running around anymore like we used to. It's all changing so fast in our lifetimes that I think I've bought Star Wars like 6 times. The movie, I bought it on a VHS tape way back when, and then I bought it on a laser disc, and thought that was that's go from 280 lines of resolution to 400 lines of resolution. Holy Toledo, 400 lines of resolution. Who's ever going to want more than that,
Kind of like people bought Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd 7 times. Configuration changes.
Right. Or the master disc, renewed copy from the original factory masters when they originally, cut the first records. Right. And it's been phenomenal. I mean, it's that level of change happening on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. I can remember seeing my first billboard in Silicon Valley and thinking, the internet has finally arrived now, because here's Toyota running an ad that adds a big web address on it. And I thought, holy Toledo, they're printing a web address on a billboard. That means the internet has arrived.
Because I noticed that with the Apple billboard that said "Think Different." It had John and Yoko on it, and that was late.
And that was after Jobs came back. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years before that. And I remember working with tablet computers before there was an internet. So how do you do, portable computing? Well, we had laptops, right? But nothing like the kind you see, these laptops nowadays, the little tablets with, all that jazz going on. Nothing like that. Nothing that thin and easy to handle. All these big old clunky things. And no internet on them. You had to plug them into a phone modem to get them to talk to anything over a network. Right. So, content was still on CDs and DVDs. CD-ROMs were a brand new thing when I was there. So like I say, media, imagine going from the reel-to-reel you and I used to work with in the studios.
Cutting it.
We were literally making edits with a razor blade, cutting physical tape in order to patch 2 pieces of sound
sometimes
together.
Wrecking the tape.
and you'd make a copy just so you could mess around with it a little if you wanted to do some crazy, crazy Ernie Kovacs kind of weird stuff on the sound effects.
Yeah.
Make your own little loops and stuff. But from that all the way forward to just totally digital now, and not only totally digital, but the sample rates are so high now that it's the old, is it live or is it Memorex? Who cares? It's so close it doesn't matter. Right. It used to be cassettes. I was telling someone about cassettes the other day because my sister had a phone cover that had an old cassette picture on it, and I said, "Oh my God, those things with all the hiss." Yeah. They looked at me like, they hissed? I said, yeah, they had hiss. The tape was so thin and it got so much crosstalk from there. It just all the time in the background, you'd hear a hissing while it was playing. Right. They had never heard of that. They had no idea what I was talking about. It was from another planet, Right. And that's cool. I mean, it's just what it is.
Well, I think all technology has some kind of noise embedded in it, and sometimes we block out the noise.
Sure. Well, and compared to records, which had pops and crackles and snaps and, the Rice Krispies, I mean, they had all that pops and crinkles going. People used to think records were awful. Now we're all running back to records because they're analog, and it's the purest recording of the thing that you could get. because it's infinite sample rate, or it's not infinite sample. Wow. There's still some graininess to that vinyl. There's still a certain, you can't have a certain sound next to another one without a little bit of bounce in the needle that doesn't really work. So,
more peaks and valleys, I guess.
But it makes people think it's purer and more original, The new digital stuff's fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm just now learning about home theater and Atmos, where they're literally, you used to have to put the speakers everywhere. Now they're putting all the speakers in the bar. And most of the time you can fake people out enough by just aiming the speakers at the ceiling and having them bounce down to where they're sitting. And they'll start looking around like the sound's behind them.
Right.
Just
How
acoustics.
about as far as media creation, are you working on that?
I'm not doing as much with that. I mean, you and I are here making some now. You're the one doing all the creating, and I'm mostly a consumer. My wife and I watch a ton of YouTube and other videos that we find online.
My number one channel for anything is YouTube.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends on Patreon, and I sponsor a bunch. I've fallen into from going from radio. I guess I'm a kind of a producer in that I'm literally producing by giving money to people that I like that make videos, So I have a guy, a buddy of mine, My Tesla Weekend, and I met this guy by watching his videos and saying, hey, this guy's pretty cool. And back then he had only a few hundred viewers, and we started taking trips together, he and I, and going to some of the events that were in the field that we were in, electric car promotion, and now he's got thousands of viewers. He's been to several countries and cities. We've been running around the globe a little bit. Went to England last year. We're going up to BC very soon, up in Canada. So, that's one of them. And I sponsor probably, 10 or 12 different people who make videos, So
all right.
He gave me producer credit. So I said, I'm now a YouTube producer.
The whole podcast world is becoming a new world. I think for everybody, like even people who don't consider themselves niche people, they're finding niches on YouTube and to watch, to consume, or create. And so more choices than ever before.
I mean, I moved into this new house, and in the old house, I had an antenna on the roof. One antenna aimed at Sacramento, the other antenna aimed at San Francisco. And those antennas gave me great high-definition television for free. Now, it wasn't always perfect from San Francisco, which is why I put the Sacramento one on, which was closer technically to my house. But the beauty of it is we've gone from free broadcasting television, which I had via those antennas, which I really liked because the price was right. It was free. Once you put up a $50 or $100 antenna, you're done. And I go from that to now I moved into a new house. The new house already came with fiber optics, came with a solar wiring into the attic from the garage, so you could wire batteries into your garage or your outside and run it up to the solar that they expected you to put on the roof. It also came with an EV charger wiring built into the garage. I mean, and fiber optics running to the house directly. So I am you can see the pictures pretty good here. I'm on a gigabit connection, and it cost me $50 a month. Holy Toledo, that's
efficiency.
That's marvelous. Being on the fiber and paying a reasonable rate for data is very nice.
And that takes us to the climax of our show this time, because I want to talk about this more in depth some other time, about solar and how solar is becoming a part of our culture, including our musical and media culture. Because I think solar would be the answer for radio stations who have these giant towers that are wasting energy, and they're paying $50,000 a month or something, maybe even more than that for these towers.
If broadcasting is going to survive, it has to get cheaper, and cheaper via that. The other possibility is, and I think they're looking at this now, distribution via cell sites, but then you're kind of tied into all those corporate distributors and corporate cell site owners. But I heard recently they're going to do broadcast television over 5G. So there's lots more to talk about, Alex, as we go forward. I mean, there's certainly a lot more things out there that
we covered a lot already. And definitely, let's talk more about music and technology and where it's all going.
You bet.
All right, Jeff, thanks a lot.
All right, take care, guys.
Social music.